A smart woman doesn't just survive, she wins without showing her cards. She knows when to speak, and when silence says more, she can stand in a room full of opinions and still keep her own compass steady. And the truth is, being smart has nothing to do with your IQ and everything to do with how you move, how you think, and how you protect your energy. Today, I'm giving you the 7 rules that separate the women who keep getting played from the women who become unforgettable. When you learn how to control your reactions, you learn how to control almost everything that happens around you. And I'm not talking about pretending you don't care or bottling everything up until it explodes later. I'm talking about that skill, that calm in the middle of chaos, where you feel the heat of the moment, but you choose not to hand over your steering wheel to someone else's behavior. Because here's the truth. Most people aren't reacting to you. They're reacting to the reaction they think they can pull out of you. And if they know exactly which buttons to push, they'll keep pushing them. You've probably been in situations where someone says something that makes your blood boil instantly. Maybe it's a comment at work that undermines you. Maybe it's a family member who throws a subtle jab during a conversation. Or maybe it's a partner who knows exactly how to get under your skin. The moment you snap, the moment you raise your voice, the moment you let that anger spill out, you've already given away the power. It's like tossing them the keys to your peace of mind and saying, Hera, drive me anywhere you want. But imagine this, you keep your face neutral, your voice steady, your body language calm. They throw the bait, and you just don't bite. You don't need to win every battle with words. Sometimes your control is the win. And here's the thing, control doesn't mean cold. It doesn't mean shutting down and going silent like a stone wall. It means you're aware of what's happening inside you and you're deciding deliberately how you're going to respond. You're not on autopilot anymore. Think about how different that feels. You walk into a tense meeting, and instead of letting the tone of the room decide your mood, you decide it before you even sit down. You get that frustrating text, and instead of firing back a reply in 5 seconds, you breathe, you think, you wait. Because every delay between what happens to you and how you respond is a chance to choose the smarter move. And smart women understand that the more emotional a situation feels, the more valuable that pause becomes. This is where people misunderstand strength. They think strength is loud. They think it's about showing someone they can't mess with you by coming back harder. But real strength is when they can't get to you at all. Real strength is when they start wondering why their old tricks don't work anymore. And when you hold your reactions like that, people either step up or step away, and both are good outcomes for you. I'm telling you, controlling your reactions is not about winning in the moment. It's about winning over time. You'll notice the shift, fewer arguments, more respect, and not just from others, from yourself. Because when you start acting in ways that align with your values instead of your impulses, you feel proud of yourself. You trust yourself, and that trust, that's priceless. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, remember, you don't have to step in. Let them spin in their chaos while you stay anchored in yours. That's the move of a woman who's not just in control of the room. She's in control of herself. Boundaries are one of the most misunderstood things in relationships. People hear the word and think it means building walls, shutting people out, or being cold. But that's not what a boundary is. A boundary is a filter. It lets the good in and keeps the bad out. And a smart woman knows that without boundaries, everything and everyone will drain her until she has nothing left to give. Here's the thing. If you don't decide where your limits are, someone else will decide for you. And usually, they won't set those limits in a way that protects you. They'll set them in a way that benefits them. That's why boundaries aren't selfish, they're necessary. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you keep letting someone cross the line, they're going to stop seeing it as a line at all. Boundaries are not about controlling other people. You can't make someone respect you, but you can make it very clear what happens when they don't. That's the power of it. You don't have to yell, you don't have to threaten, you just consistently reinforce what you will and won't allow. And people catch on fast when they realize your words match your actions. The hardest part is this: it's easy to set a boundary once, it's much harder to hold it when it's tested, and it will be tested. The moment you start protecting your time, your energy, or your emotional space, the people who were benefiting from your lack of boundaries will notice. They might call you difficult. They might call you selfish. They might even try to guilt you into going back to your old patterns. But the truth is, the only people who get upset when you start having boundaries are the ones who are taking advantage of you not having them. Boundaries can look different for everyone. Sometimes it's saying, "I'm not available to talk after 9 p.m. Sometimes it's, "I won't discuss this topic with you anymore." And sometimes it's as simple as not answering the phone every single time it rings. These small decisions are how you create a life where you're not running on empty. Because if you're constantly overextending yourself just to keep the peace, you're not actually keeping the peace. You're just postponing the explosion. You have to remember that boundaries protect both you and your relationships. Without them, resentment grows. You start feeling used, drained, or undervalued, and eventually you pull away completely. But with boundaries, you give people a clear roadmap of how to have a healthy connection with you. You're not shutting the door, you're just setting the terms so that when they come in, they know how to act. And let's be real, having boundaries will cost you some people, but the ones it costs you are the ones who were never meant to be in your life in the first place. The people who truly value you will adjust. They'll understand that your limits aren't about keeping them out, they're about keeping you both healthy. And when you live by those limits, you'll notice something. You feel lighter. You stop feeling like you're constantly explaining yourself or defending your choices. You start protecting your peace without apologizing for it. So no, boundaries aren't walls. They're doors with locks. And you hold the key. You decide who comes in, how far they come, and when it's time for them to leave. That's not selfish. It's smart. Words are currency, and smart women know exactly how to spend them. They don't throw them around just to fill silence, and they don't use them to prove a point that time will prove better. Speaking less doesn't mean saying nothing. It means choosing words that carry weight, that land, that stick. Because here's the truth: the more you talk, the more chances you give someone to twist, misinterpret, or use your own words against you. But when you speak with intention, you keep the power in your hands. We live in a world where oversharing has become the default. People put their entire lives on display, thoughts, feelings, relationships, struggles, like it's all up for public discussion. And while there's nothing wrong with being open, there's a big difference between being transparent and being vulnerable to the wrong audience. A smart woman understands that not everyone who listens is listening to help. Some listen to collect information, and they'll use that information when it benefits them. That's why she doesn't feel pressured to explain herself every time someone asks a question. She knows no is a complete sentence. She knows silence can be more powerful than defending herself to someone who's already decided what they think. And she understands that by speaking less, she makes the moments she does speak hit harder. Think about the people you respect the most. They're not the ones who talk nonstop. They're the ones who, when they open their mouths, everyone else stops and listens. That's not an accident. That's intentional communication. They've built a reputation for not wasting words, so when they speak, it matters. Speaking less also gives you the space to listen more, and listening is where you learn. You learn what motivates people. You learn what they're not saying. You pick up on details that most people miss because they're too busy thinking about what they're going to say next. And that knowledge gives you an edge because it allows you to respond strategically instead of impulsively. It's also about understanding that not every truth needs to be spoken. Some things are better left unsaid, not because you're hiding, but because they don't need to be shared in that moment or with that person. The smartest women know how to read the room. They can feel when their words will create impact and when their silence will say more. And here's the secret. When you learn to speak less, you stop giving people the ammunition to shoot you down. You stop giving them every piece of your plan, every detail of your feelings, every card in your hand. You create a little mystery, a little space, and that space makes people lean in. It makes them wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, and that curiosity works in your favor. It's not about withholding to manipulate. It's about protecting your narrative. You get to decide what parts of you the world sees and what parts remain yours alone. And when you master that balance, you move differently. You stop feeling the need to prove yourself through constant explanation. You stop being predictable, and you start speaking in a way that not only commands attention, but keeps it. So speak less, say more. Let your silence create curiosity, and let your words be the ones that land so well they echo long after you've left the room. There's a big difference between being nice and being wise, and once you understand it, you stop feeling guilty for making choices that protect you. Being nice is easy. It's agreeable. It's accommodating. It's saying yes when you'd rather say no because you don't want to upset anyone. And sure, being nice makes you likable. People enjoy being around someone who's pleasant and agreeable. But the problem is, being nice without wisdom can make you a target. People start to assume that your kindness means you'll accept anything, and before you know it, you're bending over backwards for people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. Wisdom, on the other hand, isn't about pleasing. It's about discerning. It's being able to read situations, read people, and know when your kindness is an investment and when it's a loss. A wise woman understands that her time, energy, and generosity are valuable, and she treats them that way. She doesn't say yes just to keep the peace, because she knows that peace without respect isn't peace. It's quiet resentment. The challenge is that society often teaches women that being nice is the goal. We're told to be sweet, be polite, be accommodating, as if our worth comes from how easy we make life for others. But the truth is, being wise is what earns you long-term respect. Niceness can get you praise, but wisdom protects you. It helps you see when someone's compliments are genuine and when they're bait. It helps you know when to help someone and when to step back, because their problems aren't yours to solve. The difference also shows up in how you handle conflict. Nice without wisdom avoids it altogether, even when something needs to be addressed. Wisdom knows that sometimes a difficult conversation is the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for the relationship. Nice without wisdom says yes out of fear of disappointing someone. Wisdom says no with confidence because it's protecting something more important, your boundaries, your time, your values. And here's the thing, wisdom still has kindness in it. It's not about being cold or cutting people off at the first sign of trouble. It's about being strategic with your kindness. It's about knowing when giving is genuine and when giving is being taken for granted. A wise woman can still smile, still show compassion, but she doesn't hand out unlimited access to her life just because someone is nice to her. She looks at patterns, not just moments. When you start choosing wisdom over automatic niceness, you'll notice something. Some people will pull away, and that's okay. The ones who only liked you because you were easy to use will disappear. The ones who truly value you will respect the shift because they see that your kindness now comes from a place of strength, not from fear. Being wise means you can walk into any situation and know you can handle it. Not because you'll be the nicest person in the room, but because you'll be the one who knows what's worth your energy and what's not. And that kind of self-awareness changes everything. So don't just aim to be nice. Aim to be wise, because nice can open doors, but wisdom makes sure you walk through the right ones. Playing the long game is one of the most underrated skills a woman can have. We live in a world that pushes instant gratification at every turn. Quick wins, fast results, immediate responses. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying success in the moment, smart women know that short-term validation can cost long-term stability. They understand that what feels good right now isn't always what's good for the future, and they're willing to make choices today that set them up for tomorrow. The long game requires patience, and patience requires discipline. It means you're not reacting to every emotion, every impulse, every opportunity that comes your way just because it's there. You pause and ask yourself, where does this lead? Does it fit the life I'm building? Or is it just a distraction dressed up as a gift? Because sometimes what looks like an opportunity is actually a detour, and chasing it might pull you off the path that leads to something far more valuable. This shows up in relationships too. Playing the long game means you're not just choosing someone because they make you feel good today. You're looking at whether they align with your values, your growth, and your future goals. It's not about being picky in a superficial way. It's about being intentional. You know that temporary excitement isn't enough to carry you through the hard days, so you choose people who can stand the test of time, not just the test of attraction. It's the same with your career, your finances, your health, really every area of your life. Quick money can disappear faster than it came. Quick fixes in health rarely last. Quick recognition can fade if it's not backed by consistent effort. But when you think long term, you build systems, habits, and relationships that compound in value. You start to see that progress that feels slow today becomes unstoppable momentum tomorrow. The challenge is that the long game often feels invisible in the moment. You might not see results right away, and that can be frustrating. But that's where trust comes in. You trust your process, your discipline, and your vision. You remind yourself that while others are burning out chasing instant results, you're building something that lasts. And that's why patience isn't weakness. It's a power move. It also changes the way you handle setbacks. When you're playing for the long run, a bad day or a bad week doesn't break you because you know it's just a moment in a much bigger picture. You're less likely to give up because you've already accepted that success isn't supposed to happen overnight. And when you stop expecting instant results, you stop feeling discouraged by normal delays. Another benefit of thinking long-term is that it gives you clarity. It's easier to say no to the wrong things when you know exactly where you're going. You're not as easily swayed by flattery, quick gains, or other people's timelines. You learn to measure opportunities not by how they feel right now, but by whether they still make sense 5 years from now. So while everyone else is busy sprinting for quick wins, you're pacing yourself for the marathon. You're building a life with depth, stability, and meaning. And that's the beauty of the long game. You might not get there first, but when you do, you'll stay there. Protecting your self-worth is one of the smartest things you will ever do, because the moment you forget your value, the world will try to set the price for you, and it will always be less than your worth. Your self-worth is not something anyone else can give you, and it's not something they can take away. But it can be weakened if you keep putting it in the hands of people, jobs, or situations that don't treat it like the treasure it is. Too many people walk around hoping someone will validate them, and when they don't get that validation, they start questioning themselves. That's like owning gold and asking strangers if it's valuable. You shouldn't be waiting for someone to confirm what you already know. Your self-worth is built from the inside out, and it's reinforced by the way you talk to yourself, the way you treat yourself, and the standards you set for how others treat you. It's not just about confidence. It's about investment. Every time you choose to grow, to learn, to take care of your body, your mind, and your finances, you're increasing your value. You're making yourself stronger, wiser, and harder to shake. And when you see yourself as the asset, you stop accepting deals that undervalue you. That goes for relationships, work, friendships, everything. The danger comes when you tie your worth to external things. If you think your value depends on being chosen, promoted, complimented, or accepted, then the moment those things disappear, you'll feel like you've lost yourself. That's why you have to build a foundation that doesn't move just because circumstances do. When your self-worth is intact, rejection doesn't break you, it redirects you. Criticism doesn't destroy you, it teaches you. And success doesn't define you, it just adds to what you already know you are. Protecting your self-worth also means protecting your environment. You can't surround yourself with people who constantly chip away at your confidence and expect to feel strong. You have to be intentional about who gets close to you. If someone makes you question yourself more than they make you believe in yourself, that's a sign to pull back. The people you allow into your life should add to your value, not drain it. And you have to watch your own self-talk just as much as you watch theirs. The way you speak to yourself sets the tone for how others speak to you. If you keep telling yourself you're not enough, you'll start accepting treatment that reflects that belief. But if you consistently remind yourself of your worth, even when you don't feel it, you train your mind to see yourself as valuable even on your worst days. Here's the truth. When you know your worth, you move differently. You stop chasing people who aren't meeting you halfway. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop taking every opportunity just because it's offered, and instead, you choose the ones that align with your value. You make decisions like someone who has something precious to protect because you do. Your self-worth is your greatest asset. It shapes your relationships, your choices, your future. And the moment you start guarding it like it's the most valuable thing you own, everything in your life starts rising to meet the standard you've set.